and let myself sink into the rightness of this moment. I looked around our place, taking my time to admire all the little details that Yin had added. There were holiday-themed cushions, garland around the door, little lights hanging from the window frames. Yin had made a big deal out of our first Christmas living together, and even though he might have gone a little bit overboard, I had to admit, it looked beautiful. It was festive and so different than my life had been only a few months before. I hadn't exactly been in a bad situation. I lived with my uncle, who had a comfortable, if not very warm, home. I had a roof over my head, but I didn't have this. A place of my own. A person who meant the world to me to come home to. I'd given up on trying to be religious long ago, but lately I'd started thinking more and more about gratitude. And that was exactly what was pulsing in my chest as I saw Yin come back to bed, gingerly drinking his tea with his thick black curls like a crown on his head. I grinned and lifted a corner of the comforter in invitation. Come on, get in here. We have a morning off for once, and I want to spend it in here with you. I don't know. I was going to go to the mall for some last-minute stuff. I wanted to think he was kidding, but Yin had been increasingly intense and a little secretive about our Christmas gift exchange. I shook my head incredulously. You said you got all your shopping done on Black Friday, I said, gesturing to the gifts he'd wrapped elaborately and placed under our tiny tree weeks ago. Granted, most of those were for friends and family, but still. We'd both been running ourselves ragged, going to school full-time, and with 2 part-time jobs each, so we'd agreed not to overthink our gifts and do something simple. We'd even set a budget, nothing over $100. Not that I had exactly observed that caveat. I haven't quite gotten all the gifts yet, he explained as a very sly smile appeared on his face. And I think you need to convince me. Why don't you tell me 3 reasons why I should come to bed and not just stand here and sip my tea while I look at you? From where I'm standing, it doesn't get much better than this. He lifted a hand as if to present me with the evidence. Never mind that Exhibit A was my own torso. Yin loved to play like this. He could turn anything into a game. He grinned as I considered him, desire already coursing through me. I got a peek of that crooked eye tooth of his that made him look almost impish. Come here. I reached for him, and he backed away laughing. Nuh-uh, those are not the rules of the game. You're serious? Also, when did we even start playing? I asked, shaking my head, already caught up in him. He nodded as he gulped his tea. Very. He raised a finger and circled the air above my thighs. You've got a lot of material to convince me, so convince me. Yin widened his eyes and licked his lips, making me laugh. I'd play with him. Because, despite my griping, I loved when he did stuff like this. When he made me stop and be silly for a bit. I was not playful by nature, but for Yin I let myself have these moments of joy. Growing up, I'd been the oldest of 4 and the only boy, and I had always taken myself a bit too seriously. Yin, on the other hand, had been the baby in his family, brought up by his 2 sisters when their mother passed away shortly after they left Myanmar. We'd both had tumultuous histories. Our journeys to the States marred with adversity. But for Yin, those things had made him push outward, embrace every new thing he encountered and suck the marrow out of each moment. Whereas I could go into myself if I didn't pay attention, let the heaviness of the past cover me like a blanket. And even now, after months of waking up with him next to me, of knowing exactly what my day would look like, I had to remind myself that this apartment in downtown Ithaca with mix-and-match furniture given to us by friends, and this man, especially this beautiful, smiling, happy man, were mine. But Yin always knew exactly what to do whenever I needed to be grounded in that. I put my minty coffee to the side and crooked my finger, beckoning him to me. And just as I expected, he stuck out his tongue and scrunched his face, making me laugh. Come, baby. I knew the effect baby had on him, and soon his steaming tea was left to cool on the ledge that divided our sleeping area from the rest of the studio. You're cheating, Aristide, he said with a surprisingly serious tone, given how hard he was smiling. I grunted in appreciation as he peeled off his shirt. His skin was paler now than in the summer, the months of cold weather taking some of the bronze glow. But that did nothing to diminish his beauty. My mouth watered at the sight of his flat brown nipples. I licked my lips, reaching for him, and he came, like he always did, without hesitation. We slid down on the bed so he was on top of me, our bodies touching from toe to forehead. We kissed languidly, like we had all the time in the world, and given that we both had a rare morning off, it felt like we did. I licked into Yin's mouth, my tongue sliding with his in the way that we'd learned together. Almost 2 years of kisses.